Never seen a lame man walk, never heard a dumb man talk, never seen a blind man see. I promise you will change his name. Never seen a cancer dead, never seen all the poor get fed, never seen a prisoner set free. I promise you will change his name. Made whole. Never seen an orphan find a home. Never seen the weak find the strength. I promise you will change his name. Never seen the sick get healed.
I don't know.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going? How is it going, cat daddies out there and cat mamas and
you cool cat kittens?
Cool cats out there. How you doing? This is your boy Bigger T, and this is the Big C and Bigger T podcast coming at you live and in effect from not 2 different places, count them, 3 different places. I got my boy, as always, Big C, Clint Clark. How you doing, Clint?
Man, I'm great. I am great. It's good to have for those of you who are just listening on Apple Podcast, Telemundo, TNN, Spotify,
the Ocho
Plus, Fox, whatever you're listening to us on, whatever you got us from. We got Baseball Beau back with us. We'll talk a little bit of Hog Baseball, but right now we're gonna be talking that nonsense.
That's right. We got our boy Beau Morgan from beautiful, coming to us live from beautiful Harmony Grove, East Camden, Arkansas. How you doing, Beau?
Oh man, couldn't be better. The sun finally popped out after about a day hiatus. So we're doing great.
That's right.
Now, Beau, me and you are both fathers, right? I mean, I have 2 kids. You have at least one that I know of. You got a boy that plays baseball. Travis has not found that special lady to have children with yet. Even though, once again, I cannot emphasize this enough. Travis C. Johnson's DMs wide open. Wide open. Get him on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anything. He's regularly checking his spam. It doesn't matter. And he's also regularly eating spam.
That's right. Yeah.
Beau, do you like spam?
Spam sandwiches. It's been a while since I've had a spam sandwich. I don't remember if I liked it or not.
I remember my mom before a football game one time made me a fried spam sandwich. And being the well-conditioned athlete I am, I did not see why this was a bad idea.
That's right. Yeah.
So I was looking in pregame like I was a couple of weeks ago during the podcast. Like, okay, you're at to just block for me on this.
So like eat taco wagon before a baseball game.
Yeah, don't do it. I mean, just do dumb stuff when we're kids, and that was one of the ones that I did. So I was telling Travis, I messaged him the other day. I said, I've been watching this show and I can't quit watching it. It's on Netflix. It's called Old Enough. It is a Japanese television show they put on Netflix. And what they do is they give these 3-year-olds, like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old kid, a task and just say, hey, go do this. Like they'll send them to the grocery store to pick up like oranges and maybe a banana and some NyQuil. I don't know what they're picking up, but they send these kids and somehow they manage to do it. Now they get distracted and along the way and all kinds of things happen, but I'm like, man, my son's 10. I wouldn't send him to Walmart to go pick up anything. I'm like, at what age would Tom Clark have said, hey, you've got this? So
what about you, Beau? Growing up, did you get sent on errands when you were a kid?
Well, we did. We had a little country king. It's called King's Corner. Little country store about a quarter of a mile down the road. Now, the most dangerous thing, well, I shouldn't say, our road is called Old Wire Road was the name, and that was like the local drag strip for anybody who wanted to see how fast their vehicle would go. But we were often sent on that road, which we had to cross a set of railroad tracks to get to the store as well, to go down to the store and pick up whatever item, you know, we may have needed for the day that somebody forgot. Hey, just run down to the store real quick. We rode our bikes probably 10, but no Walmart trips, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, you know, and the kids are, of course, they're not just like, hey, good luck crossing I-40, kid. They're kind of supervised. They have camera guys that are, you know, around, but still, like, you know, it's funny to watch how easily they get distracted. It's kind of like taking me somewhere.
Now, Clint, when I was a kid, I had a little different childhood. Okay.
Yeah. No, you did.
My mom and dad divorced when I was 5. And so it was just me and my mom, and we didn't have a lot of money. And so we would go to the laundromat. In fact, we didn't have a washer and dryer from the time I was 6 until I was about 10. I think we finally got one. And when I was about 5 or 6, my mom would drop me off at the laundromat, and I would start the laundry. And she would go just now, not very far. There was a grocery store just in Clinton, just not far from kind of in almost across the parking lot from the laundromat. But she would drive down leave me at the laundromat to wash the laundry, and she would go buy groceries while we were getting all the laundry going. Okay. So now, I don't know, she wouldn't necessarily just send me into the stores, you know, and I did like Beau. There was a local IGA store, you know, she'd send me on my bike if she needed some last minute milk or bread or something like that. But you know, I guess when we were younger, but you know, like kids nowadays, man, I've had teenagers go with me on youth trips. They can't order in a restaurant.
No, they can't.
Right.
You know, I got 7th grade, and they're not used to even ordering in a restaurant on their own. You know?
You think that these folks that are like in their mid-50s used to look at us when we were younger and be like, these kids are dumb.
Yeah.
They're dumb. They're just dumb.
I'm sure
my mom couldn't drop me off anywhere because I had an unhealthy paranoia that they were just going to leave me.
Really?
I don't know why, but I would like literally freak out like all the time. Like they took too long running in somewhere. I'm like, they've left me. I'm going to have to raise myself. I'm going to wind up in foster care.
But Joe Dirt too many times.
Man, I was young before Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt. I'm about the same age as David Spade. I don't know how old David Spade is. But we got to be close.
Yeah. No, I never even thought about that when I was a kid. Of course, I was
being left.
I never had a fear of that. It was always like, hey, I get to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, she'd give me some, $1 for the vending machine, or some quarters for the vending machine.
I'd be scared
to
go
to
the
bathroom. I got a candy bar out of the deal.
Yeah. I'd be scared to go to the bathroom because where they're going to come out, like Sue would be gone.
Yeah.
There's no healthy reason behind it. That's just,
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite stories to tell too was, like I started learning how to drive at a very early age. Like I had an aunt that was in high school, and she'd take me out we'd get bored. And I'd be 5, 6 years old. And, she would like let me steer, and she would do the pedals for me. And then once I got old enough, once I got a little older, she'd take me out on dirt roads, and I'd stand up and drive and work the pedals myself. But one of my favorite stories is when I was 11 years old, I wanted to go to church real bad one night, and my mom wasn't feeling good. And so she let me drive to church by myself at 11 in a Pontiac Fiero 2-seater. And she had threatened me. She said, don't you tell anybody, and don't show any of your friends the keys, and park on the other side of the parking lot, and all this stuff. And I never had to get on a highway. We were, in fact, I was pretty much in the same neighborhood as the church. So I had to, but it was still probably about, 3/4 of a mile driving or something like that, a mile driving. And I was 11 years old. So, and you know what? I didn't tell anybody. I was scared. I didn't want to tell. So
some of the stuff our parents
ahead,
and grandparents let you get away with. That's my grandmother had a Volkswagen Beetle when we were growing up. So she was a teacher. She taught 5th grade. Well, when we were kindergartners, me and my middle brother, we're only a year apart. So when we were kindergartners and 1st graders, about through 4th, we went to the elementary school, a different school than she taught at. We rode the bus from the elementary school over to the middle school and would ride home with my mamaw. Well, she had this Volkswagen Beetle. Of course, there's not hardly a back seat in that thing.
Oh, yeah.
We would take turns riding on the console as a 3-speed, and she would hit the clutch, and me or my brother would shift for her as we're going down the road. She'd drive. Of course, no power steering, no anything.
Oh, yeah.
Tight. Like, she grew up in the Depression. She's super tight, penny saver type deal. Well, this same road, we turn on to Old Wire Road, and we would be speed shifting to build as much speed up as possible to hit the railroad tracks. And we railroad tracks, and as soon as you went over them, she would kill the car and coast the next probably 300 yards up the hill and turn, like a tire screeching turn into the driveway, fly up in the garage and hit the brakes. But she had to keep up that amount of speed in order to make it all the way to the garage where she wouldn't have to start her car back up and spend that 89 cents per gallon gas.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. We do anything for that 89 cents per gallon gas.
That's cool.
Oh, man, that's funny. Well, as usual, guys, we normally do a Holy Shnikes moment. We have a pretty special one this week.
Yeah, it was
sort of, he kind of hinted to me about this, but I didn't know when it was. He never did tell me when the date was he was doing this. Beau.
Right.
He kind of hinted this was coming up, but I don't think he may have told me. I don't remember, but I don't think he ever told me.
Pretty hush hush.
He kept pretty hush hush, Beau. You see, CLINT has a past.
I do.
Which wouldn't shock you at all, I'm sure. And CLINT has a past, not only that's got some jaded moments, but some interesting moments. But
Right.
CLINT has some moments, Beau, where he was a professional wrestler.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
When I say professional, I'm talking about around Arkansas.
Yeah.
As
far away as Osceola, people.
Yeah, that's right. And
that's
probably
a
the
trip.
biggest paycheck he got out of a night was about $50, something like that.
Oh no, it's $20. I mean,
Okay,
guys, if you're gonna do independent wrestling in the state of Arkansas, you're not doing it for the money.
That's right.
I got paid $20 for this one, and it matches my largest payday ever.
Right. So why do you do it, CLINT? I do it for the glory.
No, I came back 2 years ago, and I'd wrestled Kid Crazy, a guy that I'd helped train. Chris Jordan's his name. And I actually did a podcast with Brian Wilson. He has a podcast called Life Unraveled. And anyway, me and him did this on his podcast with that match. But I came back, and then COVID happened right when we were doing the story, because I was going to come back. I'd beat him, and I came back, and I wanted to put him over. It's what the idea was. And then COVID happened, so I never got to I kind of got to put a bow on it, but I didn't feel like I tied it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I wanted one more match, and it just happened to be I saw a flyer that they were doing one in the castle at Greenbrier. They've got this building, and it's like a Western motif inside, in like a medieval castle outside. I don't know what they're thinking. It's like someone decided they were going to decorate this place. Like, yeah, just throw that in there. So we go to and I was like, I recognized one of the guys on there, and I'd worked with that night ended with a battle royal, and I got stuck in the battle royal, and I was just like, somebody just dragged me over the top rope. I can't go over. So that's what they did. They got me out somehow. They got my large self out, But I'd work with him a little bit. And I'm like, well, this is a guy I could work with if I ever want to do one last match. So I'd mention, hey, who you working? And he goes, well, nope, they ain't told me yet. So well, I would like to work you because I like to have one last match. So this Saturday, I took on Draven Morrow in Greenboro, Arkansas in one last match. And
back to the hometown.
The hometown, I let them know. And you know what? And you haven't seen the match, Travis. It's on YouTube, and I've kept you away from it up until this point.
Now let's set it up now. Okay, so Draven Monroe is his name.
Draven Morrow
Morrow
versus the wild card Colton Cash.
Now, are you heel in this?
Oh yeah, you know I've got to be the heel.
Yeah, Clint's normally heel. He's the bad guy. Okay. Now, for those of y'all listening on podcasts, I'll try to do my best, and the guys will help me. We'll do our best to explain what's happening. But Clint's.
I'm here. I have no butts. I'm having trouble keeping my pants up.
Clint's talking.
Yeah, I'm talking to the guy because the thing is, I didn't want to. I'm trying to make this as least stressful on me as possible. So I just said, man, I didn't even because I overthink stuff like entrance music, and so I said, just play some generic crap. I'll come out to that. And so now here comes Draven Morrow.
So you're waiting in the ring for Draven Morrow. So you're coming out as the heel. Usually that's how it works. The heel, the bad guy comes out first a lot of times, or whoever they're trying to put over is the good guy. Come out second. That's a nice ring.
It is a nice ring, and
it's the looking.
But you see, I mean, look, you see how it's Western in there, and you've got like the stalls over there, completely medieval castle outside, people. I mean,
okay, Draven Monroe is wearing a long leather jacket with the sleeves cut off.
Right, yeah.
Now he's flying around. Wait, no.
He's taking off his glasses. He's got those rose-colored glasses.
I thought he was threatening you with the claw there for a second.
Yeah,
he's got a big beard. Are you afraid of the beard?
I'm not afraid of the beard at this point. I'm not. But now, I'm going to tell you, can y'all hear the sound? Because I get to cut a promo here before the thing. And it is brilliant. I'm proud of myself for this. See, they love
it. 250 pounds. All right.
From the Temple of Chaos.
He's from the Temple of Chaos?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
Outside Rooster.
My name is Colton Cash. And unfortunately, I'm from this crap hole.
Like, I'm not happy to be from Greenbrier, people. I'm from this crap hole of a town.
The only thing I like about this town is the look of it. I will be there when I leave.
What'd you say?
I said the only thing I like about this town is the look at it in my rearview mirror as I leave. Now I tell them, I'm like, with tonight's winnings, when I win this match tonight, I will finally have the money to move somewhere nice. Like Valonia. Like Valonia.
Oh, Clint, no, you did.
Oh,
hey, look right there. Look right there. It is. I broke it back.
The purple singlet, folks.
The purple singlet makes its way back.
If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts, you may want to this one you may want to check out on YouTube if you want to see Clint a purple singlet.
Definitely need to find your way to YouTube for this one.
I know Beau's life has changed now.
I'm pointing at my son right here, and I tell him, like, this kid keep calling me Barney. I want him thrown out.
Oh, that's how you got the heat for the Barney thing, huh?
Oh, I got the heat. I've already made him mad, and now I'm giving him something to make fun of.
For those of y'all just listen, Clint's complaining to the ref now about something.
About the people calling me Barney, because my feelings are frankly hurt.
Oh, well, hence you wear a guy your size wears a purple singlet. We're asking for the Barney thing right there.
I look like I'm ready for a live action remake of the Grimace commercial. I tell him, like, you call me Barney one more time, I'm out of here, people. I'm out. Like, okay, fine. I'll just go ahead and leave. You know what? I'm too emotionally unstable for this. I need to do some sit-ups. I'm like,
oh, wait. Oh, he jumped from the back. Oh, Clint.
I'm too chubby to make it underneath the bottom rope totally. It takes me a second.
Thrown into the ring. Oh, he's begging for mercy now. Begging for mercy in the side of the ring.
I even offered to go get something to eat with him here in a second. I'm like, I'm like,
he's saying, let's go to Wagon Wheel and get some biscuits and gravy. Oh, no, he's kicking you. Oh, no, Clint is down. Colton Cash is standing on top of Colton Cash. Oh, man. It's brutal. Colton Cash. Oh,
punch in the face. That didn't hurt that bad. No, this hurts.
Oh, chop to the chest. Open-handed. Oh, another one's coming. No, wait. Oh, two-handed.
Two-handed.
Man, you felt that through your purple singlet.
I did.
Oh, he blocks it. Colton Cash. Oh, what was that?
That was the cane chop to the throat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's the big. Now the Colton Cash with the upper hand, throwing the big haymaker.
I'm choking him.
Now Colton Cash is choking him against the rope. No, I'm not doing anything.
The Cash is like, he's telling the ref, like, hey, let's take it easy. I asked the referee stupid because I know I got to 5. I got up to 4 seconds.
Oh man.
Oh, what a vicious armbar right there.
That's right. Oh man. Okay, yanking on the arm. Poor guy.
Look at this.
What was that?
That's an arm. I'm going up for a belly down armbar.
Oh, okay. Belly down armbar.
Belly down armbar. You know,
I didn't know there was such thing as a belly down armbar.
There is a belly down armbar.
Okay. Oh no, you're using the rope. That's illegal.
Using the rope for leverage, a classic dastardly heel technique.
That's illegal, Colton Cash. How dare you? How dare you use the rope to help your hold there?
Oh, he's pleading his case with the ref.
And all these fans are against me. Right here, I'm saying, ask that guy right there, pointing to a trash can. Oh, look at that Kimura lock.
Oh.
That is a high-level black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with a Kimura lock.
Yeah, there we go. He's working that black belt right there.
Yeah. They tried really wrenching it in.
Now, what's your opponent's name again?
Raven Moreau.
Moreau. Yeah, Moreau. Raven Moreau.
Heck of a wrestler. Heck of a guy.
Oh, you kick him out.
Kick him out because I'm like, hey, you know what? I won't. He's telling me to leave him alone, let him get back in the ring, and I'm just enjoying arguing with the referee. It was as much fun arguing with the referee as it was wrestling.
Yeah.
Because he was a good one. He knew how to.
Oh, no. Here now.
Oh, he's going to by the beard.
He's got him in a chokehold, reverse chokehold with Raven Moreau on the floor. And
Raven,
Colton Cash is reaching over the ropes.
They're not telling him. He's like, you're choking him. You can't choke him like that. I'm pulling his beard. And I'm like, I've read the rule book. It says I can pull beard. He's like, you need to read it again. There's a guy in a gray shirt. Oh, the big comeback here.
Uh-oh. Raven's punching from outside the ring. He's barely staying on the.
Making his eyes, though. What a dastardly individual.
That's right. Oh, Raven rolls in the ring.
Right now, it looks like Colton Cash just couldn't think of anything else to do. He's like, I'm just going to go for a Kimura again.
That's right. Oh, Colton Cash is on top of him, raining down blows.
Choking him here. What a picking him up.
Still talking to the crowd.
I'm like, he's going to pay because y'all called me Barney. some little blonde girl in the front row giving Colton Cash the
Oh,
business.
he's going, throws him into the corner, and the big splash. The big splash. Oh, Raven falls to the ground. He can't take it.
Down.
That was a good dramatic fall by Raven there.
Colton Cash.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Go to the
up
second
on the
row.
second row. Look out, folks.
Oh, he gets the boot up.
He lifted his boot up. Raven lifts his boot up. Oh, then the headbutt to Colton Cash. Another headbutt. Oh, another one. I like this Raven guy. Oh, the big foot to the face. Colton Cash is down, folks. Colton Cash. Oh, Raven with his own elbow off the second rope.
Atomic elbow.
He goes for the pin, and it's over. Colton Cash. Colton Cash loses.
You were ahead the whole match.
Yeah,
What
I know. I
happened,
thought I
man?
had it won, and now I've got to, the ref's checking on me, and I get up here in a second. I get up, and I won't force y'all to any, but I get the crowd chanting Barney one more time at me.
Oh, good.
And anyway.
Now, okay. Now that was fun to watch, Clint, and I know that was fun for you to
That was
do.
entertaining. Very entertaining.
Now, and when you talked about the best part, of course, was your son Austin was there on the front row.
Oh, yeah.
Was he chanting Barney?
Well, and you see, that was part of the deal is we had planned to get the Barney chant going. And I told and Austin didn't want to start the chant, so I promised him a milkshake.
Yeah.
He says he started it, but I think he froze a little bit, but he had the time of his life. Another one of the matches that were on that card, they did a suicide dive out of the ring and landed like literally right next to him.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't planned, but he was ecstatic. But he had the time of his life. And Draven Morrow was my opponent. He's actually got a big match come. Well,
Sorry.
he's got a big match
Draven.
coming up July the 2nd in North Little Rock, an event called the Catalina Wine Mixer.
Ah,
Yeah,
those stepbrothers.
But he's wrestling Gangrel.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he's really excited about it. Heck of a worker. And it was a, I was telling people, like, what more could you ask for in your last match? But hometown, getting to do that. And it made me think of it. I was trained in wrestling by a guy that you introduced me to, Lynn Johnson.
Yeah, Beau, this guy Lynn, he is a friend of mine that I met through a church camp we worked at. And Lynn was the mad chef, was his gimmick. And I'll never forget, we were at a show one time, and he had this girl that would come out as like his French maid. She'd wear
He was a
makeup
French
and
chef.
whatever. Yeah, and this girl Julie, another one of our friends, she would come out dressed, and he had taught her a few things or whatever. Well, he got his boss that he worked for at the time had a little daughter that was a cute little redheaded girl. She was, about 10 years old or so. And she, he's going around and then the maid comes over and the little girl's got him a pie. And it's just like a Cool Whip pie or something like that. But it's, she's got a little pie, and the maid comes up to him and says, "Oh, look, she made you a pie." And he goes, "Oh," and he took a taste of it and poof, spit it out and then dumped it on the little girl's head.
Oh, no.
And of course, her dad and everybody, they were in on it. The little girl knew it was going to happen. But you talk about getting the heat from a crowd. You saw Clint doing that. I mean, that was perfect what Clint did at Greenbrier, saying, talking about Greenbrier, then
Yeah, how bad
talking
it
good
was.
about Bologna. That's all you had to do right there.
No, that's your favorite Lynn story. And I didn't want to I could fill up this entire podcast with old funny wrestling stories. But one of my favorite ones is we were doing a show in Fordyce, Arkansas, and we'd rented somebody else's ring because I don't even remember why. So the main event that night was me and the Mad Chef versus Scott Fury and Kid Crazy. And so they go to arm drag, and Scott Fury is one of them guys that always had to have the glory. He always wanted to be the glory. He hated taking the pin. He always wanted to pin. And so it always worked out because Kid Crazy had a cooler finishing move. We'd let him get the pin. It worked out that night where he was going to pin me. Well, we're into the match, and Lynn takes a big arm drag bump. The center beam down the middle of the ring snaps in two. Now, fortunately, this is the main event, so we're the last match. So the ring's sunk in. I mean, it is like a U. And Lynn rolls out of the ring, and I was like, "Hey, Lynn, what do you think? Pinfalls count anywhere?" And he goes, and Lynn's trained all of us, so we're going to do what Lynn says. You know, Lynn is the man. We're going to do whatever Lynn says. Lynn's like, no. It's like, gets on there, he lifts up the skirt of the ring, and he goes, "You guys want a match?" Picks up the microphone. "How about pinfalls count anywhere?" And I'm like, okay.
Did I just say that?
Yeah, but the funniest part about that is that because Scotty wanted to pin me so bad, Kid Crazy actually frog splashed me on the concrete from off the top rope.
Oh,
I'm like, we ain't beating this. There's not a spot we can do to top this. So I laid there when they counted three.
Yeah.
Scotty was, because we had no idea how to get the match. But I was like, this is as good a thing as any, because we just beat each other all over the armory, flew into lockers, and anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
WWE.
Well, that's neat, man. That's good. That's cool, Clint. I'm glad you got to do that. Well, now let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk some baseball. Last week the Hogs had a good week. I guess they played UAPB, right? And they won both of those games. Was it 2 games they played them?
Yeah, they played 2 games, 2 doubleheaders.
And then they got the big sweep. Get out the brooms, sweep them up.
You know, we've actually
against LSU.
We have swept LSU in all 3 major sports this year.
That's right.
That's,
like,
what is it, 7? I've been saying that
7 or 8 games straight. Yeah,
7 or 8 games straight. You know, across multiple sports that, you know, we have ruled over LSU.
So, which is
that's awesome.
That's right. That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, Beau, tell us a little bit about where the team's at. Like we talked a little bit last week, but fill us in a little more on. There's been some more stuff, I guess, this week. But who are some of the players that are kind of sticking out to you? And well, first of all, let's talk pitching.
Yeah, well, I was going to start when you say pitch. What players are sticking out. If you compare it to the last couple of years, our conference starting rotation is probably as good now as we've been in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. That's always been a big if. We've had, that one guy that could go out there and get you what you needed. Of course, last year it was all about Kevin Copps. It didn't matter who you started. He was going to come in and throw 5 or 6 innings and, beat whoever. But this year it's Connor Nolan. I mean, he is, he's returned back to form what we've seen him as a freshman. Being that Friday starter. I think he was perfect through 3 innings the other night, no hitter through 4, and ended up going out in 6 innings. It ended up being one of his shorter outings lately. He's been going 7 or 8 innings. I think he had 7 Ks in that. And then, of course, Hagen Smith is a freshman. He had a heck of a game, 7 innings, 7 Ks, no runs. I think only gave up
freshman of the week this week. Yeah, SEC.
Right. He's also the SEC freshman of the week. Then Jackson Wiggins, he's kind of doing what everybody hoped he would last year, and he's turned it on. He's probably been the most inconsistent out of those 3 to me. I mean, he still pitched great. I think
now what year is Wiggins? Is he a sophomore or is he a junior?
I'm not sure on his year. I know last year was his first year at Arkansas, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'm thinking he's a sophomore. I thought he was a freshman last year.
Because you gotta think next year they'll have Wiggins and Hagen.
Paulette.
Yeah,
you got, and plus then you're looking at possibly having Peyton Paulette back next year if he don't go in the draft this year. He was hurt.
And what's the closer's name? Is it Tiger? That's why I got into my head, Tiger.
Oh, Tiger. He's
yeah. I mean, so And that's what I told Travis. They're winning different because last year it really felt like we're going to out hit everybody and then we'll eventually call the cops.
That's
and
right.
But it just seems like the frontline pitching is there this year because Connor Nolan has just looked unbelievable. He's made
you through 6 innings or more, you know, because you turn around and look at some of our bullpen guys like Zebulon Vermillion. He's been around for a while, but he's kind of had a breakout year this year to me. Really, he's always been good, but this year he's been really good. You got Morris, Taylor, then of course Tiger. There's them three. Them are like the guy in Ramage. Those are the go-to guys that coming out of the pen. But I think what highlights it a lot is our defense has been pretty stellar this year. Them guys have the confidence to go out there and throw their pitch, and they know, even if they don't make the perfect pitch, their defense is behind them is gonna clean it up.
Well, I think we got as good an infield as anybody in the country, with Caden Wallace, Robert Moore, and Jalen Battles. And I'm brain far on the first baseman's name.
Peyton Stovall.
Snowball.
Yeah.
Now, didn't I hear something about we're third in the country in fielding percentage right now? Something like that.
Yes.
Percentage or whatever.
Yeah, we're right up there in the top 3. I mean, that's I can't remember. I can't remember which team. I just seen that today that we're in the top 3. I can't remember who's number 1, but yeah, we're right up there. I think, believe it or not, your boy Caden Wallace, I was thinking Stovall. He's got the most errors on the team with 5, which is not that many over, however many games they played, 30 some odd games so far. But man, that dude has came on as a third baseman. I know that's what he was brought up there for. They just put him in the outfield last year just to get his bat in the lineup.
Yeah.
He has proven himself to be, I'm scared he's going to be gone after this year.
Well, he'll have to come back next year because he's just a sophomore this year. So we're going to get him one more year.
I thought they said he was going to be eligible this year. Is that not right?
I don't think so, but
okay.
I could be wrong.
I'm a good 99.9% sure, and I'm always right. Except for that 0.1% of the time.
Except for that one. Yeah, and maybe they've just been talking about his draft stock so much, I'm thinking that he's going to be eligible. Yeah. But yeah, he's having a heck of a year. I think he's batting like in the 300 somewhere. I can't remember.
321.
21. Only Turner's higher than him, Michael Turner, our catcher.
Yeah, he's batting 344.
Which is such the opposite of what we had last year. Because last year we had Opitz never was going to light the world on fire with his bat. But,
right, yeah. Have moments that he would, he could be clutch, but he wasn't going to be your leading average guy. But that's one thing I like more about this team than I did last year. Last year, even though we were ranked 1 and, won all those SEC series, there was just something about it that always scared me, whether it was the pitching or the hitting might go cold, something. This year's team, even though, we do have a series loss against Florida, they seem more complete as a hitting and pitching team this year. There's no real holes. You had Webb that was kind of, start the season, Webb and Stovall. Matter of fact, Webb didn't even play much the first several weeks because he couldn't hit. And, that was a big hole in our outfield without him being in center field. And he kind of broke out of his slump. And, man, I think him and Slavens, he's got, 8 home runs? Slavens got 7.
Slavens started out 0-23 on the season.
Right. Now he still has a lower batting average, but he's up to 7 home runs.
But to go from 0-23 to being one of our most consistent hitters right now,
right.
And his batting average isn't great. It's 270, but considering where it was and where he's brought it up from,
right.
I think if you looked at it over the last few weeks, it'd be one of the highest batting averages we have. Now, Beau, there's something that concerns me. We talked about it a little bit last week, but I got a little more of a stat number to get behind it here this week.
Oh, no, not stats.
I know. The team is hitting 222 with runners on base.
Right.
That's not good, Beau.
But that's a little scary. That's one of one of their downfalls is they've left a lot of runners on base. They've left a lot of guys stranded out there, so they can't quite. Now this weekend against LSU, they come up with some pretty clutch hits. Now LSU helped them out on some errors as well. I mean, they still had to hit the ball hard, but LSU did help them out with a few errors. But they have struggled in that area. That's the one thing they're going to need to do, especially when they, we still have to play Vandy, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. We still got to run the gambit of SEC teams. I mean, face it, any SEC team you face can beat most anybody, but we've still got a long ways to go. And we get to those Vanderbilts and Mississippi States, they're going to have to get them runs across the plate.
Very true.
Go ahead.
The thing is, that's what's held us up in the World Series in Omaha the last couple of years is we've stranded too many runners on. And if we don't have some guys that can come up clutch, it's going to hurt us this year when we get there. Because, we can talk about, we like the way we're improving, and the pitching, like you said, the starting rotation has turned out great. Our back end pitchers are looking pretty good. We're starting to feel good about your closer and all that stuff. And our hitters are coming around. We talked about Webb and Stovall coming around, and Wallace is staying consistent. And now Robert Moore's one that's struggling.
I was just fixing to say that's the one guy that you've got to get going. I think right now out of the starters, he's got the lowest batting average. And
I think it's a matter of time because he's a pro. He's a college kid, but he's a pro.
Yeah. You're right. I think it's a matter of time, but in my mind, he's the one guy. If you can get him going, he was that clutch hitter last year that would step up when you knew nobody else could get a hit. You look up, and Big Time Bob was sitting there, at the plate, and that scared everybody when he come up to bat.
Now, what I like about this team, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Beau.
No, I was going to say just littlest guy out there in the league, and he was probably the scariest hitter last year in a clutch.
Well, I have a tendency to just love the sound of my own voice, but as you know, if you listen to the podcast, but no, I think it's a matter of time before he gets going because he was the clutch guy last year, and I think
he is the one guy. Like if you ask me, like in basketball, we wanted what was his name, Chris Light, shooting free throws at the end of a game, You asked me one guy from that basketball team shooting free throws in the game, that's who we wanted. If you ask me one guy still, I would say Robert Moore. If I need to push a run home, he's the guy, right, like you said. So sorry, Clint, go ahead.
No, and I think that this team peaked too soon last year. I think this team hit their stride, just too soon last year. And I wonder if that's what's going to happen to Tennessee this year because Tennessee has been by far and away the best team in baseball. Now, this could have been our holy shnikes moment of the week very easily had I not donned a purple singlet one last time. But did you see what happened with Tennessee's manager or coach?
Yeah, did they ever come down with a punishment for him?
Four games. There was a rumor that him and Danny White got into it after the game, and that Danny White had threatened to fire him. But
wow.
Well,
I don't
tell about what happened, Clint. Sorry, or Beau.
I just know he got into it with an umpire. I have not seen the video. I don't care to look it up.
Seen the video, Beau?
The third base coach, if I'm not mistaken, I hadn't seen all of it. I just caught a glimpse of it. Something happened, and the third base coach got thrown out. Like all of a sudden they tossed the third base coach, and it didn't look like really over anything. I don't know if he said something that just the camera didn't pick up, his mouth or whatever. But whatever was said, he tossed the third base coach. Well, then Vitello comes out, and of course he's getting all over the guy, and then they toss him, and that's when he runs out there and does a slow pitch softball hip check on him. You know, it looked like we were playing weekend ball out there.
Yeah.
And they tossed him then. And I really don't know what led to the situation. I hadn't watched that. I know it created a bunch of controversy. And then, you know, there's been a bunch going around now that, you know, oh, well, that started the whole thing that like Vitello was maybe looked at as the guy that would replace DVH when he retires.
Mhm.
You know, that's like his protege. He taught him everything he knows. Obviously, he's a good coach. Look at what he's done at Tennessee in a few years. But then all of a sudden you see you know, everybody's starting to flare up going, well, there's no way he's coming here. He don't have any class. No, you know, look at Tennessee's program. They're classless, you know, on and on. And of course, then a video surfaced today of Van Horn. He didn't hip check him, but I mean, he's like right up in the guy's face. He even turned his hat around sideways so he don't headbutt him with the bill of his cap. And I mean, he's in his face. And they're like, oh, you mean this Van Horn that's with this much class? And there's been a bunch of going back and forth. You know, if we play them in the SEC tournament this year, man, it's going to be a fiery game. That's going to be one to watch.
Right.
And to be honest with you, Tennessee didn't even know they had a baseball team before Vitello got there. I mean, they didn't even know. It was like it was an afterthought. It was like we're a hockey club at Arkansas. No one cares. That's the one. I mean,
highly successful hockey club.
yeah, no, apparently they're highly successful. I don't know. I don't care.
That's right.
I don't watch the news, but yeah, but so they're the next one now. No, that's baseball. Now we're wrapping up. I think you know, everybody thinks that the spring game is in the spring, but they actually have 3 more practices left for the football team.
That's right. The football team is, they got either 2 or 3. One of them may have been today. They have some more practices. They had a spring game. It was supposed to be a spring game Saturday, but they ended up having to go inside because of the weather, but they had a lot of recruits in. Because they had a lot of recruits in, there was some things happen off the field first that I think we need to bring up. That and I wasn't able to get any stats on this yet, but
yeah, I don't think the details are out there. But
apparently Pittman has his contract.
Yeah,
and according to him, he said they can fire me, but I ain't going nowhere.
I can't leave.
I can't leave.
I didn't know that they had these, you know, off-field incidents, whatever happened, but I did see the clip today where they were talking about where he made that statement. And my first, you know, at my mind, I went back to after football season when he didn't have that same thing, but he was like, hey, I'm not going anywhere. You know, I'm here at Arkansas. So I thought maybe that's what they were talking about. So, that's interesting.
No, yeah, he said in his press conference after the deal, because it leaked out during the scrimmage, the press started hearing about it. So they asked him about it afterwards. He said, I guess so. He said, I've agreed to what they offered and they've agreed.
That I agree.
So I guess it's done. He said, but there's no details out.
Yeah.
But he did say it does have a no compete clause. And the rumor has it that it's a no compete clause with any Power 5 program. Now I don't know if that's not substantiated. Okay, so that's not.
Well,
that's
the one thing he said, he goes, it is in recruiting. We are selling stability. He goes, we're one of 8 of the 130 Division I programs that have the same head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator.
That's right. Over the last 3 years.
And if you listen to Kendall Browse and Barry Odom, people are going to keep coming after him. People are going to keep coming after him, but they have no interest in going anywhere to be a coordinator. None.
And speaking of coming after him, apparently he also let slip, or I don't know if he let slip, but he said in the press conference that somebody came after Cody Kennedy. And now out today is Cody Kennedy's raise that he's getting. He's getting a $300,000 a year raise.
Oh, wow.
To coach the offensive line. He came to Arkansas for $300,000 was his base salary.
Right.
He got a $100,000 year raise last year. And then for this new contract, he's up to $700,000.
Now, this is something my notes that I put on there because I watched the press conference and the walk and talk at the end of the and I have some notes here that I wrote down about, but the last thing I wrote down is the depth on this team feels different.
That's right.
It feels like this is a deeper team than we had in past. And I'm going to talk about the offensive line. Ricky Stromberg and Dalton Wagner have been down a lot. They've been hurt. One thing that I did, they've really been high on Brady Latham. They said he can play all 5 positions on the offensive line, and that he's got to look at left tackle. Another guy they mentioned is Crest Crawford, offensive line transfer from that. Apparently he's been playing a lot of right tackle because Wagner's been down. And you remember last year Wagner had back issues. He came back bad. So it wouldn't shock me if you see Crawford take that position. And they also said that they're going to give Crawford a look at left tackle. But that's not even counting St. John, the Little Rock Towers they brought in, Chamblee, and that. I mean, the depth on the offensive line is just wow.
Well, and then Luke Jones is up for the start at left tackle.
Yeah. Well, I think that if you're going to strut them out right now, I'd say Luke Jones would be left tackle and Latham would be the guard, or vice versa. And providing that Stromberg and Limmer and Wagner healthy, they probably start. That Luke Jones would be the 5th guy.
No, but you're right. I think the offensive line depth is it's good depth.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they're losing anything with those backups. You know, they feel like, you know, when they say they feel like Latham could fill in at any position and do well, you got to have guys like that, right? You got to have those Swiss Army knife guys that you can plug and play anywhere. And then, and especially on an offensive line like that. And then, and then Crawford, they say, is just such a beast. He's just he's just got the look. He's got the build of an offensive lineman. He looks like an SEC offensive lineman. So they say they've got to find a way to get him on the field. And I think they're going to try to one of the ways.
And like I said, is Georgia had 2 5-star offensive linemen enter the transfer portal that Pittman had recruited to Georgia. And I'm sitting here like, we don't need them.
That's right.
We don't. I mean, we just don't. I mean, yeah, maybe they'd come in and beat the guy out, but why waste a scholarship on somebody we've already got quality starters in? And
so he already knows the plays, already feel good about.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, it's been a while at Arkansas overall. You know, we had the same problem in basketball, or having the same problem, you know, like, hey, we're going to have to get somebody off the roster so we can get this guy in here. You know, we've got all these guys coming in. Now you've got that in football. Baseball's kind of been that way for a little while, you know, and I heard today I was reading an article and it was talking a little bit. It said, you know, it said Arkansas is on a lot of people's minds right now and in a lot of people's mouths being talked about negatively. And they said that's because for the first time in a long time, we're truly a powerhouse again across all sports. They said we must be doing something right. Everybody's talking about, you know, everybody's starting to trash talk us. You know, before it's kind of like, who's that Jermaine guy from Alabama? You know, we were, what's all of it? You know, he's got levels of names that he calls us. We were, you know, been baking bits for years. Yeah. And, you know, now we climbed the step. I can't remember how we ended up on his last one, but, you know, that's usually an indication of your program. When everybody's mad at you like they are Alabama, it's usually because you're doing something right.
Yeah. Well, and some other guys that really got a lot of praise with Ketron Jackson. A lot of people said that he was the second best receiver on campus last year. Now everybody, of course, everybody's going to want to talk about Malik Hornsby. He's been pretty consistent out there.
Malik Hornsby had a couple bombs and Jalen Catalon was asked about him. Said, what do you think whenever you line up and you see Malik Hornsby out there? He said, I think, oh no. Because he said he can do anything. And he said he's faster than anybody else we're going to have to cover.
Yeah. And well, and a lot of people say he's already the second best, that Jackson was second best wide receiver last year. But with somebody like Hornsby, you got to figure out how to get him on the field. Now, another guy that they talked about is Kade Fordham. They said he is looking really, really good. And that
quarterback. That's why the other quarterback.
South Florida. Now we're really thin at quarterback, especially with Lucas Coley transferring to Houston. But a lot of people saying that, he was getting moved down the depth chart, and that's
the reason he decided to leave for sure.
Yeah. So Kade will be that. Now, another thing that they're talking about is Rocket Johnson going to Tom Brady. Rocket Sanders going to Tom Brady, Dominic Johnson.
I think he's going to.
He's looking the part, because they said last year he's a freshman and you could tell, like, I'm thinking, I'm moving, and now he's moving as he's thinking.
And not to, hey, I guess we got to brag a little bit, but I said many times on here, when Rocket Sanders starts running the ball like a running back and not like a wide receiver at running back, he's going to be a totally different player, and he's going to make a huge impact. And what does Sam Pittman say a couple of weeks ago in his press conference? He said, I like Rocket Sanders. He's starting to run the ball like a running back instead of like a receiver. Okay. So he's starting to get his cuts right. He's starting to learn how to make cuts quickly out of the backfield. He's reading his holes or reading his gaps. His vision's getting better. Look, to me, he's extremely gifted. And if he's getting that stuff figured out the way they're talking about, then, I mean, Dominic Johnson's still going to get to play a lot, but it's gonna be Rocket Sanders, I think, be the first back out there.
You're going to see,
especially if he can pass pro, if he can do his job.
But here's the beauty. We've talked about Dominic Johnson. We talked about Rocket Sanders. We haven't talked about AJ Green, Joyner.
And AJ Green's up to like 214 pounds or so. Look at 211, something like that. He's gained a little weight and still got speed.
I said this before, and I say this again, just as important as locking those coordinators up is locking Jamil Walker up.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's got Trey Knox looking like a tight end. Let's see what he's doing to AJ Green. Lock that man up, make him the highest paid strength and conditioning coach in the country. Yeah. He don't need to go anywhere. He is that important. Now, on the other
they interviewed Trey Knox the other day. He was in the press conference after practice.
He's up to 245.
Huh?
I think he's up to 245.
And it's muscle big. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not bigger T big. But he said they asked him. They said, "How are you liking the transition to tight end?" And he got a huge smile on his face. He said, "I think I can make a lot of money playing tight end."
Oh.
Now
that means he's loving it.
Now I want to talk about some defensive players. There's two guys I'm gonna mention, and I love what Sam Pittman said about him in his prayer conference. Eric Thomas, a defensive lineman, and Keywan Parker, cornerback. He's worked his way up. What do them two guys have in common? They were on the scout team last year. Yeah. They weren't playing. They were out there. They were pretending to be Alabama. They were pretending to be Georgia. They were doing that. And Pittman's like, they had it in their mind. They ain't going to do that again. And they were going to get off the scout team, and that they were going to play. They were going to prove everybody they can play. That's what you should do. And I love what Pittman said about the transfer portal too. And I know this isn't what we're talking about, but it popped into my mind. He said the transfer portal to me was about kids that were over recruited. They didn't mess up. We messed up by recruiting them.
Yeah.
We evaluated them. That's what the transfer portal was for. So
that's a take on that.
Yeah. I like his take on that. But those two guys, he also talked really well about Isaiah Nichols. Of course, Isaiah Nichols played a lot last year when Ridgeway, was down a little bit. The linebacker crew, it sounds like the rotation is going to be, because they had that 3-man rotation. Everybody's raving about Drew Sanders, transfer from Alabama. Now, that being said, just because he thinks the transfer portal that's what it's used for, don't mean he ain't gonna take a 5-star from Alabama.
And there's
I was-
what I like about
About,
Drew.
about linebackers.
Say that again, Beau.
I was going to ask y'all about the linebackers because I hadn't heard a lot about them, but we lost a lot obviously last year.
I don't think we're gonna miss a beat at linebacker because they also Chris Paul was another guy. He was a true freshman last year, played 4 games. So he kept his red shirt. He's gonna be a red shirt freshman this year. And I think, and speaking of transfers, like Lucas Coley seeing the writing on the wall, Andrew Parker, another solid player that you thought was going to see a lot. I think he saw the writing on the wall with Drew Sanders, Bumper Pool, and Chris Paul. I think he saw them, and they talked about. There's a couple other young guys that I'm missing.
Clint, I'm totally with you on that. I think, at first we're thinking, man, we're going to miss, and we are going to miss Morgan. We are going to miss Henry as far as their leadership and things like that. But I think on the play on the field, I really don't think we're going to miss them that much.
Right.
Because I agree with you. I think with the transfer from, what's his name? Transfer from Alabama.
Drew Sanders.
One thing they keep talking about with him is his pass rush. So he's going to be standing up, but they're going to be blitzing that dude a lot. They're going to send him to the quarterback. And they say he has a swim move that is out of this world. And Bumpers has tried to incorporate the swim move, but coaches don't teach swim moves like they used to, because the strength that offensive linemen have nowadays, you can get off kilter, off your balance a little bit, and you can get taken out of the play real easy on a swim move. But man, they say his pass rush is like all the other linebackers are going to him for tips on pass rush. And then Chris, and call him Pooh, by the way.
Yeah, Pooh.
Nickname's Pooh. He loves, and he says, I prefer to go by Pooh. Okay. Anyway, he said, they asked where he got that. He said, well, when my mom started yelling at Pee Wee games as a kid, he said, everybody started calling me that. But I'm with you, Clint. He's one that I think, and if you get a chance, there's an interview with him, and you could tell he's nervous. It was his first press conference ever as a Razorback, and you could tell he was nervous. But he's a well-spoken kid, and I know a lot of the media types were leaving that saying that's going to be our spokesman of the future for the Razorback team.
Right.
And he listed off 3 or 4 cornerbacks that weren't Hudson Clark, and Hudson Clark's a solid cornerback too. So the depth and the defensive in the secondaries really, really well. They listen, Trey Biddy said if they could find a big, of course, he used John Ridgway's name. John Ridgway just ain't out there in the transfer portal every year. Yeah. But they could find another big guy to kind of plug, not to just to add some depth, not really to start, but they seem really happy. One thing they have done is they moved Miles Slusher from safety to the nickelback position, so they could get him and Catalan on the field at the same time. It's about getting
Davis moved over to corner.
Right.
Davis, they say he's looked flashing really well there.
Yeah, they I guess they said if they started right now that Parker and Chavis would be your 2 starting cornerbacks. Catalan would be the safety, and of course Slusher would be the nickelback, and then somebody else. But I'm excited. I mean, like I said, the depth on this team is it's SEC depth. It's like last year we got to Alabama, we got to Auburn, we were beat up, and it was what it was. And this year I'm like, okay, I think this team is ready for this gauntlet of a schedule that we have.
Well, I'm ready for football.
Now, that being said, there's one guy we can't afford to lose, and his name is Kenneth Jefferson.
We got KJ, man, and listening to him too, he's dialed in.
Yeah,
he's you hear him talk, he talks more and more every time you hear him talk about being a leader and stepping up more as a leader, and leading these other guys. You got to love that out of your quarterback, man. You got to love it. It's so good. Well, man, we got a lot of stuff in this show.
We did. It flies by when you're watching a man in purple spandex.
That's right. We've got video of you in a purple singlet. Thankfully, there were shorts on over the bottom half.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. But yeah, Beau, man, we appreciate you being on here today, and want to plug the Harmony Grove Hornets. They're number 1 in 3A, right?
For 1 in 3A and 17 overall in the state.
And Beau's son Mason pitches and plays first base mostly. Moves around a little bit there, but having a pretty good year. How's his batting average? I
think right now he's at 280. He kind of he had a mid-season struggle. He started off pretty good, kind of lost his swing there and started popping a bunch of stuff up there mid-season. But he worked at it, tweaked a few things, and now he's back to hitting. So hopefully he's going to bring that back up into 300s.
There you go. And that team has a lot of kids his age, right? 10th grade.
There are 2 10th graders, 5 sophomores, 5 juniors that start. Okay. And will that be 2 more? Yeah, 2 seniors. So yeah, they're a young team. So they're doing pretty good. They ought to make a good run at state. At least we're hoping they will this year.
Cool deal. Well, guys, listen, or folks out there listening, we hope you enjoyed this podcast. We put out a couple of and I need to share it on social media, but we put out some other some little short videos. Okay, I'm playing with the editor here, and we got one where last week we were recording this, and right at the end of it, Clint gets a warning on his phone about a tornado coming. But we talked about Easter egg hunts and how they
and we keep going on this podcast. That's what we do for you and Greg.
Clint was in danger. The tornado was bearing down on Greenbrier, and it didn't.
Sirens going off. I'm bringing you people podcast magic.
That's right. And then we had an episode of Beau a couple of weeks ago where Clint was getting some rumblies in his tummy, and he needed we had to stop in the middle, and stop in the middle. He just got up and left. Well, then at the end, he just plays the Elvis has left the building on me, man. He just goes. Like,
I'm giving Travis eyes like, please stop talking. I've got to go. I'm over here like.
Well, I was watching it back, Beau, and his face, man, you can see on his face when his stomach starts telling him that. You can see on his face, he's going, Travis, just shut up. God, close it off, man. And so it was so funny. So I took a clip of the end of that, and I put it on. It's on YouTube. I'll share it on Facebook and stuff like that. But by the time this video gets out, it'll be out there. But anyway, go back and watch those. They're short, they're funny, lots of fun. But anyway, you can listen to us, watch us on YouTube, share it, share the videos, like it. This is one you want to see, by the way. We're on Amazon, we're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on TuneIn Radio, we're on Stitcher, we're on where else, Clint? Play FM, I think.
Christian Mingle.
Christian Mingle. Podbean. We're everywhere. So if you want to download this, Spotify. I forgot Spotify. If you want to download these episodes, any of our older episodes, don't forget we got some great interview episodes that are not as time sensitive as the rest of this stuff. Dion Holloman episode and
Danny Green,
MMA guy. The great episodes, great interviews. Okay, not just because we did them, but the great guys and some great stories, and they say some good stuff. So go back and look those up, and hey, share, like on social media, shout us out. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so people will be able to find us easier there. And when they do find us, they'll say, hey, what's this one about? And they say, hey, these people talk good about it. And that's what we need. So
we have the Paul Feinbaum endorsement.
That's right. Don't forget, folks. Don't forget, Paul Feinbaum has watched at least seconds of our podcast. At least a few seconds.
That's
and he said, and I sort of quote, oh, that looks pretty good. I'll have to check that out.
No, you're misremembering, Travis.
Oh, I did?
He was like, that is the greatest podcast I've ever seen. Let me get my phone out and immediately subscribe.
Well, something like it's somewhere in between those two. So, probably a little more toward
what I said and this is the worst crap I've ever seen.
That's right, yeah.
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in there. But we, whatever. We got to find one.
Right. What else do you need?
That's right. Well, Beau, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks again. Thanks for bringing the baseball knowledge to us, and other knowledge. You got to talk a little football and everything.
Got to go wrestling.
Hey man, I enjoy a wrestling match. I mean, who gets to enjoy and commentate a wrestling match?
That's right.
Y'all two unbiased opinions. How did I do for my last wrestling match?
I thought you went out on top.
45-year-old guy who hadn't practiced in 2 years went out there.
I thought it was great, Clint. The main thing, and you know as well as I do, the main thing in a match like that is getting the crowd and working the crowd. And you've always been good at that and getting heat, getting people to not like you.
Oh, natural. I've been doing it to Robert Bresman since we were 7 years old.
Why did I ask you to help with a podcast if you're good at getting people to not like you? Feinbaum would have said much better stuff. But no, that to me, that's where your genius is. And once again, genius at work. Way to go, Colton Cash. Wild card, Colton Cash.
One last time, that was it. I even made a nice post on my Facebook page today. Like, any promoters, if I call you and ask you to work, tell me no, people.
That's right.
No, I don't want to know. But Draven Morrow, one more time. He's wrestling July the 2nd against Gangrel, former WWE wrestler, at the Catalina Wine Mixer in North Little Rock. If you're in town, go look it up. He's a great wrestler. It'd be a great.
That's the freaking Catalina Wine Mixer.
Freaking Catalina Wine Mixer.
If you tell me what was the name of their company?
Prestige Worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide.
It is the premier helicopter leasing event of the year.
Anyway, all right. If they need some singers and a drummer, me and you are available.
Yeah. That's what we'll do. If I'll come out of retirement one more time. I'm Terry Funk this. Y'all two come out. Beau, you play the drums. Travis, you sing.
Okay.
That'll be the only way I come out. That's the one thing that'll get me to come out of retirement.
That's right. Yeah. Catalina Wine Mixer.
Catalina Wine.
All right. Well, seriously, y'all have a blessed week. Thank you so much for listening and watching or whatever you're doing. Thank you so much. We are blessed to have you. And y'all are awesome. Be awesome. Have a great week.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard ground so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I swear when I work, my hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no more till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come.